We've got the Jackery Explorer 300 versus the BLUETTI Elite 30 version 2, and after testing both with real appliances, one of these does have a slight edge. Now on paper these actually look pretty similar. Both are around that 288 to 293 watt hour size. Both are compact and both are designed for camping, outages, road trips, and emergency backup. But once you actually use them, it's a very different experience. So I put these through a bunch of different tests to see how they both perform. And first, let's talk portability. The Jackery is lighter at around 7 pounds. The BLUETTI is closer to about 9.5 pounds. Both are still extremely portable, but the Jackery definitely has more of that throw it in the car and go feel. And honestly, Jackery deserves credit because they've built a really trusted reputation in this space, in my opinion. The design is simple, the interface is easy, and everything feels beginner friendly. Jackery truly is one of my favorites. If someone's never owned a power station before, Jackery is probably less intimidating. But then you start actually looking at the power output, and that is where the BLUETTI starts separating itself. The Jackery gives you 300 watts continuous output. The BLUETTI gives you 600 watts continuous. That's double the power output. And honestly, that changes everything in real world usage. So I wanted to test both with actual devices instead of just reading spec sheets. So first test, TV, air purifier, and charging my DJI mic system at the same time. And honestly, both handled that setup completely fine. No instability, no shutdowns, and no issues. So for everyday electronics, content creator gear, laptops, lights, cameras, phones, both of these are very solid. Then I stepped things up. I tested a curling iron, and surprisingly, both power stations actually handled it, which I think is important because people don't just buy these for camping anymore. People use these during blackouts, while traveling, for van setups, for getting everything ready on the road, and emergency backup situations. So that was honestly impressive from both of these. But then I brought out the real test, my large Cuisinart countertop oven, and to be honest, I knew what was going to happen here, but this is where both power stations hit their breaking point. Neither one could handle it, and honestly, I'm glad that happened because I think it gives realistic expectations of what these power stations actually are designed for. These specific systems are not full kitchen replacement systems. They're better suited for electronics, charging gear, routers, lights, fans, smaller appliances, and emergency essentials. Now with that said, even though both failed the oven test, the BLUETTI definitely feels like it has more breathing room before still hitting its limits. The Jackery feels more like stay safely within the limits. The BLUETTI feels more like let's see how much this thing can actually handle, and that feeling lines up with the specs too. The BLUETTI has 600 watt output, 1500 watt lifting mode, UPS backup functionality, and much faster charging. It also has live PO4 battery chemistry. That's a lot packed into a power station this size. One feature that I do think is super underrated when it comes to this is the UPS mode. So if your power cuts out during a storm, the BLUETTI can automatically switch over fast enough to help protect things like routers, laptops, internet setups. That's real world useful, especially if you work from home. Now, charging speed is another area where the BLUETTI feels very modern. This thing charges fast, like genuinely surprisingly fast. So BLUETTI claims around 0 to 80% in about 45 minutes, and I actually put this to the test. And when you're actually using these frequently, recharge speed matters way more than people realize. The Jackery still charges respectably, but the BLUETTI feels definitely more aggressive performance-wise. Now, to be fair, there's something I still really like about the Jackery, and that is the simplicity. It feels approachable. The size is nice, the weight is nice, the interface is simple, and Jackery has years of trust behind the brand. So if your use case is mostly charging devices, drone batteries, laptops, phones, camping gear, and lightweight emergency backup, the Jackery still absolutely works. But if you want something that feels more capable and is still a fantastic option, the BLUETTI is more impressive overall. It feels more future-proof, it feels more powerful, and once you start pushing these units with real devices, that extra headroom becomes noticeable pretty quickly. So my final take is this: the Jackery feels designed for convenience, the BLUETTI feels designed for capability, and honestly, depending on your needs, either one could make sense. But for me personally, I'd probably lean BLUETTI in this comparison. Thank you so much for watching, and I do really hope this video helped.